need that. I need a little dance, a little groove, didn't you?
Yeah.
Don't you feel good? Because, you know, we go through our life and we're all so serious. And it's like, you know what? Life isn't that serious. So I try to watch, okay, you want to laugh? You got to go watch Captain Underpants. Okay? It is hysterical. Kevin Hart's in it. It's adorable. So if you want to laugh, it is a way to get out of your serious side. Okay? Watch cartoons, because usually it's for adults anyway. Because kids will go, what? They don't even know what it's talking about.
Yeah.
You know, it's like way above their head. Anyway, I randomly, you always pull something out of Karen's book, I took something out of I have 2 thick joke files, because one of the things that gives me joy and happiness is telling jokes, okay? So I love it. Anyway, this is called Undercover Clergy. A minister, a priest, and a rabbi went for a hike one day. It was very hot. They were sweating and exhausted when they came upon a small lake. Since it was fairly secluded, they took off all their clothes and jumped in the water. Sounds good to me, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Feeling refreshed, the trio decided to pick a few berries while enjoying their freedom. As they were crossing an open area, who should come along but a group of ladies from town? Unable to get to their clothes in time, the minister and the priest covered their privates, and the rabbi covered his face while they ran for cover. After the ladies had left and the men got their clothes back on, the minister and the priest asked the rabbi why he covered his face rather than his privates. The rabbi replied, I don't know about you, but in my congregation, it's my face they would recognize.
Yeah.
I know, right? You guys gotta deal with that visual for a minute. Okay. It's so great. Well, you know, I'll pick a talk title, and then the divine will bring in, you know, things to shore it up, to pull it together. And I saw this title on an article. I can't remember the name of it. I'll remember her name in a minute. But anyway, it's called Treat Yourself to a Beautiful Life. And I thought, yes, I'm going to treat myself to a beautiful life. And so, you know, it's interesting because how we are in the world is exactly what we receive back. So I was watching a film, and it was Florence Foster Jenkins. Did any of you see that? Okay, if you haven't seen it, you know, I love Meryl Streep, because you know what's so cool about that woman? She'll put on a fat suit, she'll put herself and make herself look old, and she's a beautiful woman, right? And she will do anything to just emerge and put herself into that part. What I loved about this story is a true story, so I always try to find true stories and things that inspire me. And this woman, if you don't know her story, she was a socialite, and she was very wealthy, and she loved music, just loved it. And at one point, she left because she was, I think she was teaching piano, and she was also playing piano, and her father said, I'm going to disown you, because music is not, that's not good. And Florence, and she says, no, I'm going to do music, because that's my life, that's my passion, and I'm going to do music. And so eventually she laughs and she says, yeah, and eventually Daddy put me back in the will. Okay, so she obviously had all the money. Well, when you come to the movie, she's probably in her, I don't know, I'm going to say she's probably in her 50s or 60s at this point. But what struck me about this woman is that she loved music so much that she loved to sing opera, okay? Now, you got to understand, the woman did not know how to sing opera. She was really good at, let's say if George was playing the piano, she can move and go with the accompaniment. But otherwise, she had no talent at all. But what she did have, and this is what really struck me, and I thought, I need to learn this, is that she had such passion about the music, and she loved it so much that she had a horrible voice, but people didn't hear her horrible voice. They heard her passion. They heard her energy. They saw how much she loved it. And how much she loved it was what inspired them. And so a few people would say, oh, I'm giving a concert, you know, in 2 weeks, can you come? And they'd be like, oh, I think I'm going to be out of town. I mean, you know, it was really interesting. And she had a husband that would make sure that she never saw anything, any bad press, anything saying she had a horrible voice. And I thought, no, there's a man that loved her unconditionally, because he would do anything. Now I'm going to say, this is like the universe is for us. The universe is always conspiring to keep the bad stuff away, if you want to believe it, and to only give us the good press, and only give us the good news. And if we believe that, then we're going to have that come into our lives. So as I'm watching this and I thought, well, why after all these years? I mean, he was doing this and massaging it and paying people off not to tell her how bad she was, because he knew that if she heard that, she would give up and die, because she had contracted syphilis. And at that time period, I guess it was the late, early 1900s or late 1800s, there was not a cure. So they would live maybe 10, 20 years. Are you aware of this? There's another miracle that we have today that people had then, that they would die from it.
Wow.
So you see in the beginning of the movie, and you see, you know, the husband taking her wig off as she falls asleep, and she's bald. And that was because of the disease. And then you see later the doctor's coming in, and she's got sores on her body, and and that was from the disease. So the doctor says, and pulls the husband aside one time after she does one of her concerts, and he says, it's amazing that this woman has survived 40 years, where others, maximum, have maybe only lived to be 20 years, at least. And so he said, you know why she's alive? Because she loves music so much, and she is so passionate about it, it keeps her alive. And so what I wanted to say with you is that as we live our lives, as we move through this world, allow yourself to step into your passion, allow yourself to step into whatever it is and whoever you are. And no matter what anybody says around you, do not believe them, okay? Because the only truth is that you are loved so unconditionally. You are loved beyond anything you can imagine. And I was thinking, as I was being with that movie, and I was thinking about people in my life that just are, why do I love them so much? And why do I love them back so much? And so I'll share a couple stories. One is a friend of mine, and she calls me Maid Miriam, and I call her Miss Margaret, okay? So Miss Margaret, you know, Miss Margaret and I are a lot alike. We both have a little bit of pack rat, and we both have kind of our little eccentric things, but we love that about each other, okay? And that when I am down, and I remember this clearly, I was going to the University of Phoenix, and I'm like, and they're making you do 5 classes, you know, in 5 weeks, and I don't know, normally it would take like a year of classes. So I had to do statistics. And I had to hire, okay, hello, in 5 weeks, okay? Not statistics 1 and 2 in 5 weeks. So she said, and I go, that's it, I'm giving up. I'm done. I am giving up. And she says, Maid Miriam, I know you got it in you. I know that you're going to be able to do this, and you're going to keep going, because you have to go for the goal. You have to go for it. You have to keep going. You have to keep going and striving. And I'm like, I don't know. She says, I know you can. I know you can. And I did. And all I remember when I wanted to quit about 20 times is that she would say she had that belief in me. She knew that I had the chutzpah to get through it. She knew, and she does to this day. I'll do something that's not great, and she'll say, oh, don't worry about it, because you're so great at this, this, and this. And that's why I love Miss Margaret, because she's there to remind me of my goddess, and she's there to remind me that I am a powerful, amazing human being and spiritual being, and that's who she is for me. So as she's gone through different things in her life, and she'll beat herself up, and I go, oh no, I said, don't lose that, because that's what I love about you. You know, she has this way, she's typically late, you know, wherever she goes, and I'm like, okay, ooh, that gives me, you know, 15 extra minutes to get ready. Thank you, God. And so that's what I do. And then she does this thing where she'll be coming to church, okay? And she sits in her car and futz around with stuff for 10 to 15 minutes. And I thought, well, I kind of do that too. And so whenever she does it, I look outside the window of my house and I go, oh, there's Miss Margaret. I got another 10, 15 minutes, you know? And it's really great. But what am I doing? I'm allowing her to be who she is, because conversely, I watched her daughter, and we were on a trip to Italy. We all went together, and I'm watching them, and it was like, you don't make fun of my Miss Margaret. I'll take you out, okay? Because they were saying things to her, and I thought, ooh, that kills somebody's spirit like you cannot believe, okay? And all I remember is that I just, every night, if she was upset or something would happen, I said, you know what? I said, I love you, I care about you, and no matter what anybody says, it's none of your business, okay? Terry Cole Whitaker, and I love her. And, oh, that's where I got the talk title from. So there's an energetic vibration that happens in our world. And what I want to share with you, and be awake and aware around this, because our society is extremely critical, okay? And what happens is that people will go burr, 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 and throw barbs at you, but what they're really doing is throwing barbs at themselves. What they're really doing is saying things to themselves that they feel about themselves. Because we are all one, we are connected. Do you get what I'm talking about? So somebody will say, you need to, brr, brr, brr. And it's like, no, point the finger back at you. Because if we're criticizing, we're getting that energy too. So as we're giving critical energy out, we're receiving it in. You want critical energy in your life? Life is hard enough, okay? Or do you want the Miss Margaret energy? I want the Miss Margaret energy who thinks I walk on water. You know, I think she walks on water. I want somebody that's going to compliment me, somebody that's going to look for the good, somebody's going to say, you know, maybe that wasn't so great, but boy, I really love that. And when we do that, conversely, what do we get back? And Ernest Holmes talks about this. He talks about the law of reciprocity. And what that means is that as we put energy out, we receive it back, yes? So be aware, if we're being critical of somebody or a situation or whatever it is, that we're gathering and putting that energy into our body. What it's going to do, it's going to affect our health, it's going to affect everything in our lives. So here's Florence Foster Jenkins. She's singing her heart out. I am magnificent, and she is horrible. But people loved her energy. They adored her because she had the courage and the willingness to get up and go. So her husband was having an affair because she had syphilis, so they couldn't be intimate, okay? So anyway, he goes off on a golfing trip, and she gets bored and upset. She decides she's going to record herself.
Whoa.
Now, I know, wait, it gets better. So this is how the universe, or how God is conspiring to love you and to support you. So she does this record, and the young man that she hires as her accompanist, he's like, oh my God, she's horrible. But by the end of the movie, he loves her as much too. He doesn't care how bad she sounds. He just is in love with her spirit. So she records this record, and she just sends it out to all her friends and all the people in her music. She created some kind of a music, I don't know, I can't remember what it was called, but an organization. And I'm going to give that all to the members of the music organization. And so here's these records with her, okay? And then somehow she decides, I am so fabulous, I'm going to go on the radio.
Lord.
So she goes on the radio, and people think it's a comedy. They think she's just trying to make them happy and laugh. So they have hundreds of callers after this man on the radio is playing her record. And she says, you know, if they love me that much, then I'm gonna go to Carnegie Hall and give out thousands of tickets to the military. And she went to Carnegie Hall and invited all of them, because they were having a war during that time, invited the Navy, the Army, the Air Force, everybody. And so as she's preparing, she has these outrageous outfits. You've got to see it just because you're going, are you kidding me? She looks like a true opera star, okay? And what ended up happening is that it sold out more than Frank Sinatra, okay? Because the power of her beingness and the power of, I love this, oh my God, it's my passion, I love this, I get to sing in Carnegie Hall. And so as she was doing that, she starts to sing her first song. And of course these guys from the military go, what the? And they start yelling, and you're horrible, you sound like a drowned cat, blah. And what ended up happening is a woman who laughed at her initially gets up, and she was kind of a scrappy gal, and she goes, you stand up and you applaud her because she has the willingness to get up and perform for us. You applaud her, you give her a standing ovation. And they may have chuckled the rest of the time, but I'm going to tell you, they applauded her and they loved her. Unfortunately, there were critics from the newspapers there. And so the next day, the husband, of course, is trying to, oh my God, how am I going to manage this disaster? So he takes all of the newspapers he can in the areas where they lived, he buys them up and throws them in the trash. Well, she's downstairs and her friends are going, you're fabulous, Florence. And she goes, I want to see what the papers say about me. So they only gave her the papers that said good things, how courageous she was, and how gorgeous her costume was, all of that. So she goes to the newsstand and she starts reading the paper, talking about how she is the worst singer ever. And she takes it in her heart, and from that time on, she let go, and she ended up dying that week. Because what was keeping her alive was the passion and the love of her music. So when we are with people, and be present, you don't want to take away their passion. Be gentle with them. And I'm going to give you an example of my granddaughter, okay? I was down there, and we have a tendency, and you see a kid, and she's dancing around, she's a little spaz, and I'm like, you're fabulous, okay? Because my daughter, we laugh, you know, because she's not a great dancer, but she's a great dancer to us. And to herself, she's a great dancer, and she colors, and I go, you know what? You got to add even more to that scribble, you know, and I encourage her. And then she's singing, and she's not a great singer, but you know what? She's a great singer to me. So all I do is I encourage her. Now I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of little girls and boys within each and every one of you. And I'm going to tell you that it never goes away, ever. And I've got tears in my eyes, because after watching that, after seeing my grandbaby, you know, there's an old saying, if you can't say something nice, don't say it at all. And you know why? Because you will crush their spirit. You may not kill them like she was killed, and she allowed herself to die because she was so disappointed. And at the end, as she's going to her maker and she's going to heaven, she sees herself dressed in one of her beautiful outfits. And in her mind, she's singing like an angel, beautifully and perfectly. So allow yourselves, and conversely, say nice things to yourself. Would you quit beating yourself up, okay? And so one of the affirmations that my son-in-law says, he is teaching my granddaughter this. He goes, tell me all the words, baby. And she says, I am whole, perfect, intelligent, beautiful, harmonious, joyful, strong, and powerful. Now, do you think that's going to shift that little 4-year-old girl for the rest of her life? And so after I said, tell me all the words, baby, because they were on a trip. And she says to me, Grandma, what's harmonious mean? And I said, well, it's kind of like when you have your little Ellie blanket, you know, and you're sucking your thumb. That's harmonious. You're just being in the presence and being peaceful. So with that, just the only message I have for you is that you're always supported and loved. You're always supported by the universe. You're always supported in whatever you do. So please, beloved ones, be precious and loving and kind to yourself. Be precious, loving, and kind to others, because that energy will come to you. And out of that, what Florence created, that record is the most sold record that record company ever created because of her energy. And that recording at Carnegie Hall is the most requested recording from Carnegie Hall that they ever had. So before you go nay, or criticize somebody, be quiet and think of Florence, because you may be squashing their greatness.
Will you tell us Ellie's prayer statement again? And maybe
Oh, you mean Scarlett's? Yeah, and Ellie's her little elephant, so she's sucking her thumb. So I said, tell me all the words. I am whole, perfect, intelligent, beautiful, harmonious, joyful, strong, powerful, and creative. How's that for stepping into who she's going to become? She's already great, but I mean, she's going to step into that. So my beloved ones, I'm so grateful to be here. I love you and I just adore who you are. And I don't care what is in your personality. I don't care that you got little quirks, because God bless you. That's what makes this life wonderful. I love it. And I'm encouraged to see the uniqueness in each and every individual here. So I love you so much. Have a beautiful week. And surround yourself with love. Surround yourself like Florence did, knowing that you are the best thing that ever happened on this planet. Yeah. And so it is.
All right.
Yeah.
Yay.